Hello, friends, and welcome to the most glorious of events, the Movie Mavericks podcast. This outstanding program is hosted by two fine gentlemen, Jason and Trevor. Now make it so.
MovieMavericks.com.
Hey now, everybody, welcome to episode 408 of the Movie Mavericks podcast. I'm Trevor Anderson. Send you over to Jason Rugard. He's got a rundown for us.
On tonight's episode, we are going to be doing the long-awaited, long-sought-after best and worst of 2024. Since the Oscars just passed, we'll be getting into our thoughts on the ceremony, the winners, the losers, and the events of the evening. Lots to go over in tonight's episode, so hang with us. We're going to be talking about, cumulatively, about 30 movies, 40 movies on tonight's episode. So you may agree with us, you may disagree with us, but as long as you keep listening, and we appreciate you guys listening out there. But Trevor, what did you think, just the ceremony in general about the Oscars? We'll get to the whole particulars at the end, but was it a better show than in recent years? What did you think about Conan O'Brien as a host?
I like Conan O'Brien. I didn't think the hosting was particularly great this year. I really didn't think the skits were very good. I thought the music was weird this year. The Bond music was weird. They didn't, and correct me if I'm wrong, they didn't do the songs, right, for the best song?
They didn't.
They didn't, right? Yeah. So I kind of had wished they had actually done that and just kind of stuck to that instead. And other than that, it's a bit about the same. You know, I didn't like the speeches this year, but I haven't liked them for a long time, except for obviously Culkin's speeches. Awesome.
He killed it. And I thought that Conan O'Brien was a good enough host here, better than in recent years. But unfortunately, on YouTube, there are ceremonies of past years available. And I just, for fun, put on 1994's ceremony, the year that Schindler's List won it. And it was Whoopi Goldberg's first year hosting. She makes a big deal about being the first female host, the first black host, the whole thing. But the level of jokes that she's throwing out were so much more just risque. I mean, she's making Heidi Fleiss jokes and everybody in the room sweating about it. And you would never get that in the joke. So I thought that it's digressed a little bit in terms of the bite it used to have in the comedy section. But another thing I noticed this year, just briefly here, is that the clips were gone. There was only clips in the major acting categories, but in years past, I feel like there would be a clip in every category where they would show you a little bit of a movie to show you the costume or production design. Here they were doing a lot more artsy things by getting people on stage, and it was a lot more talky than I remembered it being in terms of the presenters.
Yeah. I mean, it was.
All right, let's get into the trivia section of the show, and then we'll go to our best and worst of 2024. I can't wait to talk about this. What do we got?
All right. Seth Davis goes to work for a new investment firm in Boiler Room. What is the name of this firm? J.D. Macklin, J.T. Macklin, J.D. Marlin, or J.T. Marlin?
Oh, my God.
I mean, I have no idea. I love Boilerplate.
Boiler
no
Room.
idea what Boiler Room. But I have no idea what the hell the name of the firm was.
Let me get off track here, and because you brought this up in a text about rotted DVDs, I have Boiler Room on a Snapcase DVD. I went to put it in recently, and it's rotted. It's no good. I can't watch the damn thing. So,
Well, is it rotted? I think there's another thing that's going. There's off-gassing that's happening too from a lot of the cases. Actually, but Boiler Room, he says, is in a Snapcase.
it wasn't a Snapcase, yeah.
I mean, there's also, I think, one Boiler Rooms that aren't.
Well, when I say rotted, it's not catching the laser won't play, it won't read it, and then you look at it, and it looks like it's faded on one side or another.
It looks like it's what?
It looks like it's faded on the top portion of it. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I don't think that's rot. I think that's like off gassing. It like makes the I think you can make that play again if you resurfaced it. Is my point. I think that there's like a cloudiness to the plastic that happens, but I don't know how deep that goes. Like rather than the actual, the inside of it rotting, or the metal in it going bad, or whatever the hell happens, because that's usually very dark.
Well, it's interesting though that era of DVD has an amazing amount of special features, running commentaries, behind the scenes, all sorts of stuff. Era. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough to lose that, because even if you buy it digitally, you won't get those features typically.
No, but you could probably just buy another DVD and it'll be fine.
Yeah, I know. But I bought it once, damn it. And I thought I was good forever.
I know. Yeah, I know. That's the bad thing about discs. And we're especially talking about like late 2000s or mid to late 2000s, like Warner Brothers discs. And some, but to be honest, I see a lot of discs now. I have a lot of discs here that have problems with them. And some of them play still just fine, even though they look kind of messed up. But I'm sure some of these that I have don't play.
It's a bitch too, because you finally open up one of these things that you and I will buy something
new and they'll be bad, yeah.
And it's brand new in the package, and we haven't gotten to it because of our collection, and we finally get to it, it doesn't play, and you're like, they got me. And I didn't even know for years.
The thing that's funny is that some of these discs obviously wind up in new sets and things that these people sell or that the studios sell. And so I often wonder, are some of these brand new discs in some of these sets no good anymore? Because you think of like things like the Batman DVD sets that they have now. Those are all old discs. Like a lot of those are older discs, right? That they just never sold because they have a shitload of DVDs somewhere. I don't know. They got a lot of those old DVDs.
All right, let's get back to the trivia question here. I think.
What do you think?
J.T. Macklin sounds right.
Sounds. No, that's not it. Do you want to know what it is?
Yeah.
It's J.T. Marlin.
These fuckers.
I don't know.
That's a tough question because those were so all the answers were so close.
They were very close,
by a vowel.
but I don't even know if anything. I wouldn't have helped me at all if it was any different. I still had no idea.
Yeah. All right, let's get to I would typically do another one here, but we have so many movies to talk about, and I want to get through the good, the bad, and the indifferent. And typically we start with our honorable mentions. Do you want to give me...
Is that what we do?
Yeah, we normally go...
we're going to go 10 to 1, right?
Yeah. So give me one honorable mention from your top 10. There was something that didn't make your top 10, and one that almost made the worst of, but didn't make the worst of.
Oh, we're going to flip back and forth?
That's usually how we do it.
Okay.
Let me start this off. Give me one of your honorable mentions.
I don't remember any of this shit. So for my best 10, The Bricklayer, which I just thought was a great action movie, fun action movie, and it worked, and I hope they make a sequel.
Well, I'm going to counter that with The Beekeeper, which is...
Yeah.
Sort of the same thing, the Jason Statham guilty pleasure that came out earlier in the year, and they are making a sequel to that, just announced this week.
I left that off my list because I didn't like the weird storylines in that. I didn't like the flow of it either, and The Bricklayer I just thought was while it's a cheaper production, I thought was a better movie.
And it was fun. I liked them both. Another one that was on I'll give you the other two that almost made my best of, but I just have to give honorable mention to. One is the summertime blockbuster Bad Boys 4, Ride or Die, and I just thought that this was a breath of fresh air in a summer that didn't have a lot of dumb entertainment that was also fun. I don't know, usually it's just dumb. This was just hit all the right nostalgia buttons for me and proved to me that I could like Will Smith again in a film. So loved that one. And also, I want to give a shout out to Immaculate, the film with Sydney Sweeney that you made me watch. I did not want to watch this movie, and it's not my cup of tea typically, but this one got under my skin, and especially because of the ending that was no holds barred and kind of out of left field. I didn't think they were going to go where they did, and I appreciate that they did. Do you have any other honorable mentions here?
The Fall Guy.
That was almost going to be on there, but it just missed something. I put Bad Boys 4 in there instead of The Fall Guy because I just enjoyed that. Did you care for Bad Boys better than The Fall Guy? Oh, obviously not.
Why don't you wait and find out?
Oh, shit, okay.
Listen, The Fall Guy I thought was okay, but it was too long, and it just didn't land. It was trying to do too much. The storyline was
too much movie
all over the place. And, I couldn't figure out if it was supposed to be a behind the scenes comedy thing or some murder mystery thing. It was just, it got too silly too, especially at the end.
To me, The Fall Guy felt like The Fall Guy and The Fall Guy 2 combined into one movie. Like if they never got to the sequel, we're going to do it all in this movie. So
yeah, it was too much going on.
Okay, let's start with the worst first. and then we'll jump back and forth here.
All right.
I don't have 10. I have 7 on my list, or is this 8 here? So I'm going to go with my...
That's insane to me.
Yeah. I mean, let me tell you, though, there are movies that could have made the list, but these are the
just
ones...
Let me do my number 10.
Okay, give me your number 10.
I'll offer this up. Okay, my number 10 is Netflix.
As a whole?
Oh, yeah. Let me run down the thing here. Atlas, Jennifer Lopez. Got the Carry On movie. I got the Kevin Hart Lift movie. I got Rebel Moon 2. I got the Adam Sandler Spaceman movie. I got Unfrosted. I got Mark Wahlberg and Halle Berry in The Union.
Wow. Those are all
This
terrible.
is just some of the random ones that I was able to find. Netflix is my number 10.
I would put any of those on this list individually if they had made an impression enough to stay in my brain
That's
long
what I'm
enough
saying.
to put on
But
the
all
list.
together, Netflix is a number 10.
Well done, sir. Give me your number 9 since I don't have this.
My number 9, I think everyone's going to disagree, but my number 9 is The Substance. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it. Rubbed me the wrong way.
How so? Was it storyline? Was it technique? Was it lack of technique?
Yeah, all of it. Story was it just wasn't there for me. I thought the acting was really good. I will say that, but I did not like the direction. I didn't like the writing, and it just overplayed its hand. You know, it really didn't have. It was all about saying something, but it really didn't have a whole hell of a lot to say.
Interesting. That movie was, I thought, going to be the dark horse in the Oscar race. Turned out not to be. Turned out to be a non-event in a lot of ways. And I think the only thing that it came away with was best screenplay, best adapted screenplay.
Makeup.
Makeup. Okay. Well, too bad.
Was it makeup or special? No, it was makeup.
It wasn't makeup. Special
I
effects
don't
went to Dune, I want to say.
Yeah, they went to Dune.
My number 8, I'll jump in here since I'm joining the race here, would be another Oscar darling, and that is Emilia Perez. A movie that I must confess that I started and stopped a half a dozen times to finally get through. And I look, there's a lot of something going on screen, and a lot of energy and coordination and organization to get it on screen, but it doesn't mean that I enjoyed it or I understood or that had any sort of impact on me. And it just, to me, was showmanship for the sake of showmanship. Zoe Saldana, yeah, she can dance, she can sing, she can emote, and nice Oscar speech. But this was a non-starter for me. I really disliked this intensely. So number 8 for me is Emilia Perez. What do you got in the 8th spot?
Okay, well, I didn't see Emilia Perez, and neither did anybody else. Just you.
Well,
I got
apparently all of
Gladiator
Mexico did, because they're very upset with her.
No, they didn't see it. They hate it. Yes. I got Gladiator 2, which I thought was a colossal waste of a Gladiator sequel.
You're right. It seemed that it shouldn't have taken this long to come up with that story. That seemed like a very pedestrian story.
Yeah, and it's not really directed well. It's not shot very well. It's not actually doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense, really. I don't understand why they scratch his name out, yet they have his fucking sword and shit on the wall. It just makes no sense, right? It's a bad movie.
All right. In the 7th spot for me is a film that came out in the April corridor, directed by an actor called Monkey Man, Dev Patel's bid for action stardom. Did you end up seeing this movie?
I never saw Monkey Man, no.
Please don't. This is...
I wasn't going to. It looked really bad.
Damn near incomprehensible movie. And I usually like action movies, even if it's got an Indian flair or an Eastern flair. Mm-hmm. I can go with this kind of stuff because the international market has produced a lot of great martial art films and action films in my lifetime. So I'm open to this. And I mean, in fact, I'm even open to actors becoming directors. There's an actor who's directing a film that's on my top 10, but this is not the movie. He is not the man. This is not the project. So intensely disliked Monkey Man. Do not recommend this film. I thought it was overlong. I thought it was self-indulgent. And to me, you want to talk about vanity projects. This was reeking of a vanity project from frame one. So hated Monkey Man.
Interesting.
What's in your 7th spot?
My number 7 is Dune Part 2, which I fell asleep to more than 2 times in the theater. Just a boring movie, I thought. Worse than the first one. So that's my number 7.
All right. My number 6 spot, worst of the year, I have Trap. M. Night Shyamalan's Josh Hartnett collaboration that went nowhere quickly, took an interesting idea and made a cool trailer and left audiences with 90 minutes of stilted dialogue, bad plotting, and no one to root for, no rooting interest, nothing to engage past a concept that got played out, and really a concept that was so idiotically handled that the plausibility is, if you're going to play with the plausibility of your story and throw it out the window in the opening act, why am I going to continue watching it for the next 2/3? And this has just kept mounting. And then the second they leave the concert venue, the movie really has no reason to exist. So for me, Trap was a big waste of time. What's in your sixth spot?
My number 6 is Borderlands, which, it was just boring as hell, you know. I felt like they didn't expand any storyline there. It was just people walking around on a planet in the dirt. Stupid.
Didn't appreciate the special effects, nothing, because I know usually you can you're forgiving to these type of movies typically.
No, because I didn't like any of the characters really. You know, the story is so boring. It had special effects, but I don't know. What doesn't have special effects at this point? It's kind of an equal playing ground when it comes to special effects right now for big budget movies. And this was a big budget movie, which is insane.
Would this have hit you better if you were younger, like when Wing Commander came out and things like that?
No, not even close. Wing Commander is an awful movie. It is 10 million times better than Borderlands. It is way more interesting than this. It has characters who give a shit about each other. It has people who are trying to actually achieve something greater than themselves. And Borderlands is just like these people who are just kind of thrown together and wander around. They don't even really want to do what they're doing. I don't even know why they're doing it, half of it. And I don't know. Just thought it was boring. Especially, and you're going to spend $100 million and you just put people on a dirt planet and there's a whole universe out there for something else for them to do.
It's kind of unbelievable their budget was in the range of Furiosa.
Star Wars started on a dirt planet and it fucking left though, right? They went and did something. Did something bigger than themselves, you know.
I don't disagree with you. All right, number 5 for me, worst of the year, is Lord of the Rings, The War of Rohirrim, the animated dud that came out at Christmas time. Nobody saw this piece of shit, and for good reason. This is a movie that seems like it was put into production 5 years ago when we were in the middle of the Disney-fied girl boss era, and this does all the wrong things with a story that is a total made-up fabrication that is somehow shoehorned into the events of the hobbits and the Middle Earth people, but non-compelling characters, ugly animation, and when you have to resort to the Howard Shore score to get the member berries, you have a dead project. And this runs 2 hours and 15 minutes long on top of it, so a huge swing and a miss that was really a contractual obligation for Warner Brothers to do something with the property to keep it. And this is what you get when you have that mandate from the studio. Terrible. What's your 5th?
My number 5 is Madam Web.
I'll jump in because that's my number 4, so we can talk about this together.
Oh, great. Yeah. Why doesn't she know how to open a can of Pepsi?
Why is she so non-committed to the movie? It's almost punk rock.
I'm sorry. I want to get back to the can of Pepsi. Why? They give her a can of Pepsi and she plays with it. She's like, maybe she'll drink, but then she's like, no, I'm not going to open this right now. I have to say something in my monotone voice about things I don't really care. But then maybe I'll open the Pepsi, but not really. Just going to play with the.
It's a bit of business to do because she's such a bored actress.
Is it? I feel like it's product placement. They're like, don't open it quite yet. You got to hold it for a while. It's a terrible, awful movie beyond that. As you say, like Dakota Johnson is just uninterested, right? Unappealing. I don't know. You can't. You just look at her and she just doesn't seem like she gives a shit. Which I think she's right to not care. The movie's awful.
Her level of disinterested, non-committing reminds me of Edward Norton in The Italian Job when he was forced into that through his contractual obligation to Paramount.
But at least that movie
comes out as a good movie and he comes off as a prick. You don't have to get behind him as the lead. He's not in every scene. She is like, she wants you to know that she's not taking any of this seriously and she knows it sucks. Well, then why just sign on? And honestly, the Sydney Sweeney character is a lot more intriguing. At least she's committing to the role, and the movie is just.
I don't even know. I don't even think she's good in the movie. I don't think anyone's actually good in the movie. The movie's so bad, no one's good in it.
Even the action scenes are, the one on the bus are very toned down and muted. And Craven the Hunter got a lot of shit, but that's actually a lot better of a film and made better, a lot darker. So that didn't make my best or worst, but it's a better movie than Madam West or Madam Web.
That should have been Madam West. I wished. That would have been starting Jada Pinkett Smith.
What's in your fourth spot since Madam Web was in my fourth spot?
My fourth spot is M. Night with Trap. He's my number 4 because that movie sucks bad. Like, I hated that. Once you get into the second act of that movie, I wanted to shoot myself. That is some dog shit. Like, your imagination just ran out, to the point where it's like he's getting away. No, he's not. He's getting away. And no, he's not. He's getting away. He's decided not to. What? It makes absolutely no sense. Like, what can we do to just keep this going? Horrible movie.
Maybe with the most uninquisitive child character of all time as well, who doesn't question any of these things that her father keeps disappearing. It just, the implausibilities mounted in that movie.
It's not just her. It's everyone else in the movie, too, except for M. Night's daughter, right? She's the only one that figures it out. Why did they figure it out? He just tells her.
To me, everything, the little entertainment value it had totally disintegrated the second that the characters left the auditorium. Did that happen for you too?
Oh, the minute they went backstage.
Yeah.
Yeah. That movie was over. I mean, effectively, the trailer was over once they went backstage. And now you have a completely different movie. And it's just, as I said, it's just crap. It's just, he's getting away, he's not. He's deciding to get away, he's not. Oh, he's outsmarting this person, but not really. But it's just nonsense. Terrible movie.
Well, my third worst of the year is Borderlands, something that Trevor already mentioned. Ooh. And for all the reasons that he stated, I might get behind everything he's saying and don't disagree with you at all there. I did think that the opening scene showed a little bit of promise with Kevin Hart pulling a Star Wars parody almost, but then things go off the rails very, very quickly. Jack Black as the robot doesn't do anything. Jamie Lee Curtis is adrift in this movie. I don't know why she thought that maybe Everything Everywhere was going to reinvigorate her career with a younger audience, so they cast her in this, but there's no reason for her to be in this. Cate Blanchett, you're embarrassed for her. And to me, this is on the level of Pluto Nash, where extravagant amount of money have been spent to make this sci-fi movie, and it's all for naught. It's almost it almost could be the sci-fi movie that they're making in The Fall Guy that they're parodying. It's that bad. So
that movie is actually not bad.
Right, but this is much worse. And
the real one.
I would be curious to see, remember years ago when they did the Rennie Harlan Exorcist that they took away from Paul Schrader and they did his version? I would love to see Eli Roth's cut of whatever he assembled for this movie.
How do you know that you didn't?
It couldn't have been. I think he's distanced himself years ago from this project, right?
That's fine, but I mean, what about is there a different cut of what, Battleship? Is that what you're like? I don't know. I don't know that there is a different cut of this movie. Like,
and I don't want there to be. I like Battleship as is.
But Battleship is a piece of shit. To be honest, it's fun. Obviously. It's a lot funner than Borderlands.
Agreed on both.
A lot. But it is still not a good movie, or it's not a great movie. I don't even think it's a good movie. It's an interesting movie. But that's like saying that there must be a different version of that just because it's bad. I don't know. And Peter Berg certainly was all for that on the red carpet, and immediately the next day turned his back on that shit, right? So I don't think it's...
just beat it up again on Rogan's podcast.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't think it would be any less that Eli Roth turned into a shit movie and then went, fuck this, He just got ahead of it.
The thing about Borderlands 2, or talk about Battleship, is that at least there's some visual beauty to it. There's some thought put behind some shots. This is just visual noise. Nothing here works.
Well, Battleship's clearly trying to do like a Transformers Independence Day thing, which gives it a little, and a Michael Bay, flair. So it gives it a little bit more substance, I think, to work off of. I don't know what the fuck Borderlands was supposed to be.
It's a hodgepodge, a goulash of just shit, and none of it works. One of the worst movies I've seen in a long time. Okay, what's your third worst of the year?
My third worst of the year is Night Swim, which is an awful possession type movie where the family moves into a home, then they go into the swimming pool, and there's something in the swimming pool that makes them bad people. I don't know.
Can't believe
it's
that
an
concept
awful
was
movie.
stretched out to film length. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, well, yeah, neither can I, and I've seen it. Awful movie.
I didn't watch it, and I actually forgot it existed until you just brought it up, and it sounds like an SNL parody.
Oh, I forgot about it existed too, except when I was going down the movies, and I'm like, oh, that movie's on my list.
Look, that's the thing is,
So
too,
I
is like,
saw
we
that
don't...
some bitch in the crowd, and I was like, that fucking one right there.
I should reiterate that, like, you and I understand that all of these movies are done at a professional level. They take months to do. There's a lot of money put. So, like, we're not unaware of that. It's not easy to make a film, to get released, any of that. But if you've stolen the time of our lives to watch this fucking thing, I'm gonna flog you one more time this year before it's over, just because you took the 2 hours out of my life, or in some case even longer, to watch these things. All right, second worst movie of the year, and in most years this would be the worst movie of the year, but we got a fucking all timer this year. But this is
I can't wait to hear the all timer of yours.
Number 2 for me is The Crow.
Oh, right here.
Same.
Deuces.
Yeah, okay.
Deuces.
So the problem with The Crow, and there are many, but is that it didn't need to be remade. And I don't think that it can be remade well, because there are sequels that I like, including Salvation, the television show.
You made The Crow great. Mm-hmm.
They could have gone in a different direction. What they did here was some sort of deconstructing of the character for quote unquote the modern era. And it's just nothing. If you're going to put the main character in the background in his own movie and only let him become that person in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Why does this exist? This should have been a short released online before the movie.
I mean, I agree. I felt like this had lost all the emotion that the original had, and when I watch this movie, one of the things to me, when you watch any movie like this or with a hero in it, you kind of want to somewhat be that hero, right? Like, I don't want to be the Crow anymore.
No. He was a tragic. Not only that, I don't want him. I don't understand why he loves the girl he's going. You kind of understood why Brandon Lee was coming back from the grave. He was wronged. It was a young, happy couple. These two pieces of shit. I'm not. Why would you come back from the dead to avenge these people?
She saved him to some degree, but it's a bit. It's like
Did we need to know that much about Shelley's character?
It's so bad. I know we didn't. I know.
And it's poorly played by both of them.
I don't like the bad guys in this. I didn't like the action. I didn't even think was all that great. I mean, some of it's okay. Like when he finally figures it out, it kind of heats up a little bit, but still, even then, it's like
of the movie.
Yeah, but it becomes a thing of like, again, I don't know. It's like that Dumbo thing where he finally realizes he doesn't need the feather anymore. It's just fucking like, I don't like, get over yourself, like, oh, I believe in myself. So all of a sudden I'm a badass. I can fight. It's like, really? That's all it fucking took? I don't know.
No explanation for his fighting skills.
And I understand that happens in many movies that I like. I get it. But it's not... when a movie's bad, like you see these things and they're really obvious and you feel like it's just cheap, right?
When
it's not earned.
When
like
the original
Dumbo,
still holds
it's earned
up.
in Dumbo. It's fucking earned. The feather works in Dumbo. Feather doesn't work in The Crow.
I would rather watch Crow City of Angels, the second one, than watch this piece of shit.
Right, or the Nicolas Cage Meg Ryan one.
I've actually never seen that movie.
Oh, you are in for a treat.
I own the Snapcase DVD. Hopefully it's not disc rotted.
You should. I had the VHS and the DVD, so.
I will be very upset if Brandon Lee doesn't show up in that movie. I'll tell you that.
Yes, it is. It's a different type of winged creature in that one.
So you said you had that in the second spot as well, correct?
That's my numero 2.
All right. So let me hear your pick for the worst film
let me give you
of
my
the
number
year.
1, because I'm waiting to hear yours. My number 1 is Here. And I don't mean it's like it's here. I'm not announcing that I'm saying it. I mean, that's Here. That's the movie, the Robert Zemeckis, Tom Hanks, Robin White movie, which I thought was awful. And an awful message to people about, life, the past and the future and the present. With terrible characters. They don't give a shit. Beat the hell out of each other. Awful movie. So I'm good. That's it. I'm done.
It was on my dishonorable mentions list, but it didn't make my worst of the year.
Did you see it?
I did. We watched it on Netflix.
Okay. And what did you think though? Because you never gave a review. So.
What did I think? I thought it was a lot more. Look, when we were talking, I thought it was going to be very set centrally. I didn't think it was going to be flipping back and forth between like the slave quarters.
Yeah, which I think that's awful. Like the random stories that they tell from this point of view are just make no sense together.
It was Robert Zemeckis channeling Terrence Malick, and that weirdness.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it. I didn't like it, but I didn't hate it. So
what they have to do with each other? Like what will the Native Indian stuff have to do with anything? It makes no sense. Or Native Americans, they're not Native Indians. That's, you know what I mean? It just doesn't make any sense, right? And like the African American family
dinosaurs
that moves in afterwards them, it's like it's just weird. What does this have to do with anything? Yeah, the dinosaurs. Yeah, well, what does it have to do with anything? I have no fucking idea. But do you feel like the characters, like, do you get what I'm saying about the characters
Robin Wright
and how awful
might
they
be
are?
the most unlikable character in any movie in 2024.
She just complains the whole time, right? I don't want this house. Well, you're living in a house for free. She's trying to save up money. She's like, well, I want to buy a couch on credit. Like, really? You're going to buy shit? They don't have fucking money. Are you listening? You want a house, but you're not going to get a house because you don't have enough money and you're saving up, so you're going to spend a bunch of money? I just don't know. She acts like a teenage brat. She acts like his daughter.
The only thing that I could equate that to was that these things had to happen so that the meager plot could keep going, that things could keep transpiring.
It's awful though. She loses her memory, and in the end, she's like, "Oh, I love this place." No, you don't.
Yeah, you hated it. For
you don't remember how
movie.
much you hated it for the whole movie. I remember the movie. You don't, apparently, because I remember you hate this fucking place. Like,
yeah,
and
he's
Tom
no
Hanks
better
is
off.
just. Now, he's an awful person, too, who never listens to her or does anything for her, but at least he's always there. She just fucking takes up and leaves.
Well,
Awful
he's
movie.
a minizer. He's a fucking he's a pushover the whole time too.
He is, but just I hated the characters, hated the dynamics, hated the story. I hated the whole thing.
All right. Well, my worst of the year comes from another filmmaker that's esteemed like Robert Zemeckis, even maybe more so. And like I said, this is not only the worst film of the year, this is the worst year of the decade. This might be the worst film of the century so far, my man. This is Francis Ford Coppola's mega flop, Megalopolis.
I didn't even see it. That's why it wasn't on my list. I did see it going by, and I wondered if that would have made it on anyone's list. Interesting.
It would be forgettable if it wasn't such an excruciating theatrical experience, having seen all of its 120 or 145 minute running time in the theater, and it felt like every moment of it. This is some of the worst performances of individually all of these actors' careers. Cumulatively, very few scenes work, if any, fully. Audrey Plaza is one of the few that quits herself of this mess, and everybody else just seems to be doing this is a production where you can see actors adrift in it because there's no cohesive vision, and every day the mandate and the direction is changing, and they seem embarrassed. And you know, they say actors want to feel secure and safe on set, and I don't mean physically, but from a creative point, and not look foolish. This movie makes them look foolish in almost every scene. Somebody looks out of place. I can't explain the level of badness of this movie. If you haven't seen it, count yourself lucky. I was one of the few that saw it in the theater, and I think that it would be forgotten, if not just such a fucking epic flop.
Was there a live element in your theater?
There was not, but the screen got smaller, so it looked like, you know, they didn't use it almost looked like you're looking at a phone.
So I had somebody else or someone on screen do it?
Off left. So there's an interview section is what Trevor's talking about. And in the Cannes showing and a lot of other showing, they had a guy come out and talk to the screen. Well, in the showing that we saw, the image of Adam Driver's face shrunk down, almost like if you were looking at it on a television monitor. And from the back left audio channel, there was a guy doing an interview to him. But it was only coming from that back left speaker.
So they don't show up on screen.
No. He's just off camera feeding him lines for no reason, and that's a stunt.
I guess
that
works. I don't know.
The scene didn't work. It had no meaning.
I just need a replacement for a live person. I guess that works.
And when you got somebody like Jon Voight who's doing some sort of like Caligula, crazy Roman emperor
I have
thing.
to see this. Out of all the ones I have to see, I got to see this one, right?
I just spent 3 minutes telling you not to waste your fucking life, and you just took out of that. I have to see this.
But you
movie.
keep talking about, the sex worker movie. What the hell am I talking about here?
Abora.
You keep telling me, well, once you see Enora, tell me what, but I don't want to watch that. I want to watch this. This sounds awful.
It is fucking awful.
In the worst way. This sounds like a movie I should be seeing.
If you can make heads or tails of what the theme is of why Adam Driver has these powers where he can apparently stop time and transform things, there's no explanation of this.
Sounds great.
Is he a fucking Jedi? Did things just
Sounds
transfer over
amazingly
from
bad.
Star Wars?
He is a Jedi. It sounds amazingly bad. Oh, he's a Sith, right?
His performance as a Sith is more human than his performance in this movie. It's
He doesn't really do well with
dialogue.
Yeah, emotion. I don't know what you would say about him. I mean, I have liked him in things, but
No, he was great in Divorce Story and things like that, and even Patterson I've liked him in, and
Sure.
selectively. But when you're doing like a bad Shakespeare reading, it comes off as line reciting. It doesn't come off as acting natural at any level, because these aren't people that are relatable. So
I like that you call it Divorce Story as well.
was it a divorce story or something like that?
As it was Marriage Story.
There you go. It was basically about a fucking couple breaking
but
up.
Divorce Story actually makes some more sense.
Truly, that's what it was about.
I
They were
like that as the
divorcing for
title
most of
better.
the
Yeah, I
movie.
know. I like that better.
Okay, well, now that we got out of the shit here, let's talk about our top 10 of the year. And you go ahead and start first. Give me what's in your top. We'll count
sure.
down 10 to 1.
My number 10 was Kraven the Hunter.
Wow.
Yes,
Wait,
it was.
top
I
10?
like this movie. It was number. Oh yeah, for this year, hell yeah. This year is bad, guys. I didn't like a lot of movies. So a lot of these movies on here, I enjoyed, and I really enjoyed Kraven the Hunter, even though it was. I'm not stupid. I can recognize it's not a great movie, but I liked Aaron Taylor Johnson in it. I especially liked Russell Crowe and the whole father-son stuff in this. And I don't know. I liked that it was blood.
brutal.
It's not really gory, yeah, but like brutal. I liked that he was clearly a bad guy. Even though I'm still. I mean, part of the reason it's a bad movie is because it doesn't really know what to do with that, because it's trying to make him a good guy. But I think I don't know, it's kind of a mistake. He's either a bad guy or a good guy. And it's still, even at the end of the movie, you're not even sure.
It was enjoyable. I will say that. For me, one of the more enjoyable little action adventures of the year. Didn't make my top 10
I've
best
liked
or worst.
all the Sinister Six things, whatever they're setting up for, except for Madam Web. I've liked the other ones.
I thought
So, I don't
Kraven
know.
was even better than Morpheus.
I thought it was too, but I did like Morpheus. And
I didn't care
the
for
Venom
the
movies
Venom.
I liked too. No?
Yeah, Venom 1 I liked. I didn't care for the sequels thus far. All right, the 10th spot for me, top 10 of the year, is Late Night with the Devil. Did you see this one?
Yeah, I didn't like it.
I know you didn't like it, and that's really surprised me because, you're the horror guy, and like I said, I got a couple horror movies on the list this year, and this is another one where I loved the freaking concept here. The guy playing the host, he's fantastic in almost everything he's doing here. And just the setting alone, I've always thought that 70s studio look, there's something creepy about it as it is, that Formica kind of hyper look. And
I agree. They did good with the color palette on this one too for that.
100% with the blues, or I'm sorry, the orange and the reds,
The grays, all that, yeah.
all of that kind of stuff. And I just thought the tone was very good. And there's something about, we were talking about the USA Up All Night and the feeling that you were one of the only one watching something like this was being specially broadcast to you. And in the days of the live stream now, that's not so special. But back then, if you stumbled upon something like this on the public access or late night cable, this would have been, fucking freaky. So it evoked a lot of nostalgia in a weird way for me. And I just got into it, and I liked the vibe of the movie more than the plotting of the movie. I thought that it didn't fulfill its promise all the way through, but it was a very interesting, I don't want to say a near miss because it's on my top 10, but to me, it's more intriguing for a lot of
this year's a little
production
rough,
design.
right?
Yeah, I mean, it just.
So-
But I liked the idea behind it. I liked the concept, and I really liked the production design.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. It didn't make my top. It didn't make my worst. It wasn't even. I didn't even think about putting it on my worst. Past the top 10 or anything. I just didn't like. I just thought it was boring. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, that's.
But otherwise, everything you said about it, I think is right. Like, I love the setting. The actors were great. It's a little long in the tooth to be sitting there on that set for so long, and maybe it's true, maybe it's not, this, that, and the other. And it's obviously true after a while, and they're still trying to play, the one note. I don't know.
It did take a long time for people to catch on to that.
Yeah. Anyhow, let me get to my number 9, which you're oh yeah. Let me do this because you're okay. Godzilla X Kong. Yeah, that's my number 9. That's my number 9, guys. Boy. It's getting crazy up in here on my top 10 list right now. Yeah, you thought Fast X was crazy? Godzilla X Kong. Yeah, I gotta have an X in here.
Wow.
And that ain't gonna be Maxine.
If I would have told you last year that this would have been in your top 10, if I'd have told you 6 months ago, you'd have told me to go fuck myself.
Look, I thought this movie looked like dog shit. I'm not even gonna lie. I laughed out loud at the trailer. I thought it was stupid. I had a fucking fun time when I watched this movie. It was just fun. It's stupid as shit, but the Kong part of this movie, I just thought was so fucking enjoyable. Like, I would have watched more of it. I just loved it. Yeah, he goes on the island. He's got to figure shit out for himself. He's trying to find, more Kongs like him. He's in a different world. He's just trying to do his shit. He's trying to get his shit together. And all these other fucking monkeys are just, they don't got it. They don't know what's up. He's got to teach them.
Sometimes you got to be the alpha.
Fucking yeah, it was good. And the bad monkey, the boss bad monkey, was kind of fucking awesome. They had like a whole shit that was going down. It was like ridiculous shit, man. I'm telling you, I like this movie. I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would for just a stupid fucking popcorn movie with a big ape and Godzilla's in it, and plus Mothra. I fucking love Mothra. They got Mothra in the end, so
you had me at the ape villain.
Top 10 movie.
If we haven't lost all credibility, we're not ever going to do it. The
top 10 movie.
Clearly. All right, my number 9 pick of the top 10 of the year is Zoe Kravitz's directorial debut with Channing Tatum called Blink Twice. Did you get around to watching this?
Oh, Lord. Look, I heard this movie, and I didn't even know it's terrible.
It actually is a lot better than the marketing gave it credit for, than the trailers gave it credit for. This is not what I thought it was going to be going into, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you give it a shot. Don't let the pre-release buzz ruin it for you, because this is, to me, on the level of something like, do you ever Ty West's You're Next and things like that, where a low-key thriller with some good plot twists? That's what it reminded me of, and I appreciated it for being...
You're not wrong, yeah.
Yeah, it's a Byzantine type plotting, and it's subverted my expectations, and for that I was grateful, because honestly I didn't want to watch it.
Yeah, look, I'm over island movies. Islands and horror, I've seen too many bad ones. This one, as I said, I heard it. I know what this movie is. It was playing in the other room. I heard the whole thing. It sounds like a bunch of ridiculous plot again. To me, these horror movies try too hard nowadays. I just either they're trying too hard or they're not trying enough. It's no one lands it perfectly right now, except for the one horror movie I have on my list.
Of course,
except for that one. I don't know.
All right, what do you got in the 8th spot?
Number 8, Bad Boys Ride or Die. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was a great summer movie, and I didn't have a lot of great summer movies this year, or last year, I should say. And so, yeah, it felt like old times at the cinema. So I enjoyed it enough out of the movies of this year to put into the bottom, of my top 10s. They like these 3 kind of just stack it out, because really, I guess I really only have 7 as well.
Do you know what I liked about Bad Boys 4 from a writing standpoint is that with the Martin Lawrence character thinking that he was invincible, he kind of became the Will Smith character, the carefree, I can't die, I'm going to go for it.
That was the whole idea, right? That was the thing.
I thought that was
places a little bit.
Outside of the strange plot contrivance where they got Joe Pantalone back as the deceased captain with the message, I hate that device. But other than that, I thought that the movie... it started getting into Fast and Furious land with all these characters that they're going to have to keep up track with, and the son's love interest now, and this person and that person, and the pregnant young cops, and it's getting into Lethal Weapon 4 territory where they're having to do a lot of extra writing to make room for all these people. But
but it felt like that Lethal Weapon 4. It felt like that older movie. That's why. While I agree, it's not the best of the Bad Boys movies. It had that old feel to it. I don't know. I enjoyed it.
Good.
Watching it in the cinema was a great idea.
It's as good as the last one, I thought, and that's a high praise.
I thought it was a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I guess I think it's a little bit. I think it's the worst one out of the bunch, but they're all good. So
that's like saying Lethal Weapon 4 is the worst one out of the bunch. It's still
exactly
a superior
what I'm saying. But that's why I think that's a good comparison there, because Lethal Weapon 4 is clearly the worst Lethal Weapon movie, but it's still a Lethal Weapon movie.
And compared to the shit we get now, it's a lot of fucking fun.
Yeah.
All right. And the 8th spot for me is another horror film, and this is Robert Eggers' Nosferatu. Did you see this one?
No.
The only movie this year to make me jump. I jumped 2 or 3 times. There was 2 or 3 jump scares in this that got me. And I watched this at home. It wasn't even in a theater, so that's saying something. And I don't like gothic horror films. I typically don't respond well to these. I didn't. Going back to the Kenneth Branagh Frankenstein ones, which I thought this was going to be trying to look at, or stealing from. And the makeup is great in this. Cinematography is great in this. It is paced a bit slow for my liking, but every time I thought that it was moving a little slow, there was something to jolt my attention back. So this movie is, I think, worthy of the praise that is being heaped upon it.
Is there praise?
I mean, there's a lot of people that told me how great this was when it came out.
I've heard a lot of shit about this movie.
I mean, I only heard positive things, and that's why I was like, there's no fucking way. And then I watched it, and I thought, there's a lot of skill going on here. Although I gotta say that personally, my favorite of the Eggers films is still The Northman, which I think is a staggering achievement.
I don't like any of them. The staggering achievement of all of them is that they get made.
That's me. That's The Lighthouse.
I haven't seen this last one either. It's me on all of them. But I haven't seen Nosferatu, so maybe it'll be different. I don't think so.
All right, what's 7?
Number 7 for me is Immaculate, which I really liked. You want to talk about gothic horror films? Let's talk about some Italian horror films, because this thing fucking nails it as far as I'm concerned. It's just, it has the actors are great, the story is great, and I liked the look of it. It's very cohesive for an Italian, like an old Italian horror film.
They do a lot with very little in that film.
Which is a lot of Italian
movements. That's what I'm saying, with camera movements, with lighting. There's a lot of what's not on screen is as important as what you're seeing.
One of the few movies that I thought really the cinematography of this was really good.
The starkness of it, there's the warm colors when she's indoors near the candles and the fires, and then when she's at the end there, outside the walls of the convent, it's very, very cold and washed out, which makes when blood appears at that ending even more shocking because of the vibrantness of the blood. I don't know, that the ending of that movie really bothered me, and why I gave it an honorable mention. And she's good in it. Sydney Sweeney is very good in that movie. She portrays it's a good role for her because she has obviously a very appealing figure, but she plays innocent very well.
It's the opposite of a lot of the characters that she's played, which has been very outgoing. Look at me because I have a good figure characters, this is the complete opposite where she's covering it up.
Totally, like literally.
Yeah, and which plays into the movie of her character and what she's doing there and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know.
And actually, in terms of the character, it makes sense why she's getting attention from so-and-so that the other people aren't, that they're jealous of. So it all works into the character pretty well.
I just liked it. I like the mood of it and the setting. First, I really like those Italian horror movies, but it brought the story along with it and the acting. So I don't know. It works for me.
Well, I'll bounce that with another film, an Italian-type film there, and that's Conclave, the film about the picking of the Pope. That was up for the Best Picture. This, to me, was a very underrated movie in that a lot of people were hesitant to watch this that I was talking to, and I got to tell you that any movie with Stanley Tucci is watchable, first of all, and second of all, the writing here and the acting is very good. This is not your standard biblical or religious type movie. This is a lot of intrigue and backroom deal. If it was about the mafia, it would be just as intriguing. It just happens to be set in this conclave. And I don't want to give away the ending, but the ending you will not see coming. Trust me, you will not call this ending of what's happening and how things go down, which really surprised me once again. Like Immaculate, an ending that stuck with me long time after the movie ended, and that's why it makes the 7th on my best of the year. All right, what do you got in the 6th spot?
My number 6 is Furiosa, because while I don't think it's a perfect story, this thing's well directed. It's undeniably. And as far as a big screen thing, I didn't see a ton of movies on the big screen this year. I probably should have seen more, but this was a good one to have seen on there. And so, I don't know, enjoyable. And I don't know. George Miller can really take something that's nothing and turn it into a whole thing.
He can make short films out of
that's what I'm saying, right? People
nothing.
chasing, like a motorcycle chase in the desert, and you're like, holy shit, this looks beautiful, right? It's intriguing as hell, but overall story-wise, it's kind of like, I don't really get some of this.
Well, also what he can do is he builds upon things. So one thing builds upon this thing, builds upon that thing, and there's a logical evolution to where we're at now in the story. We didn't just get here.
I really love the bad guys in these, especially like Chris Hemsworth is
fantastic.
He's just great in this. And all the actors are great, but I liked his character, the weirdness of the characters in this. I think it obviously doesn't match Fury Road, but it's a Mad Max saga, and I think it earns that at least.
I don't think that Hemsworth would have been nominated for an Oscar, but a Globe nomination for his performance wouldn't have been out of line as far as I'm concerned. All right, in the 6th spot for me is Deadpool and Wolverine, the mega hit with the trilogy capper, Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman teaming up for a bit of an overlong sequel, but one that is the funniest movie of the year straight up, and one of the most entertaining movies of the year on top of that. My only issue with it is where do you go from here, and has this character now run its course? Because by the time the movie ended, I think that my fill of Deadpool had been completed, but the real reason this movie is making the list is the attention and care that it was given to a lot of the characters, including Blade and Gambit and all, Elektra, all these people that came back. The look at us. It's almost like a parody Avengers movie, right? Like I don't know. I can't explain it, I guess, but I just really enjoyed the fact that I saw
it's
lot
a
of these.
Deadpool movie.
I know, but it's almost like the
that's
Avengers.
the only way to explain it at this point.
Chris Evans coming back in that Fantastic
Four with the amount
moment
of people and cameos and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, really, I guess just a really good Deadpool movie. To me, as good as the first one, much better than the second one.
I mean, this is my number 5, but the fucking Blade music, the whole movie. I mean, this is a top 10 guys. It has the Blade music in it, and then Blade walks in the fucking. What the hell?
Yeah, we didn't think we were going to get that in 2024.
And Elektra's in it. Yeah, and it was a fun movie. It was honestly a really, really good time at the theater. Probably the most fun. If you're just talking straight fun, probably the most fun I've had all year in a movie.
Close for me, but that was Bad Boys 4. I thought was just as good.
Was funner?
I thought so in a lot of ways, but then again, because Bad Boys 4 for me didn't go on as long as this one. This one felt a little bit longer in the tooth in the third act.
This one is a little long.
But the music in this, I mean, the NSYNC, the jams just in general were very, very good in this. And
for a movie that does go on for this long, though, it's still pretty good.
It's pretty light-footed.
That's pretty damn. That's impressive, I guess nowadays. I don't know.
Well, I flip-flop with you here, and my number 5 for the year is Furiosa, the Mad Max saga. You had discussed a lot of things about it. The only thing that I will add in is that, to me, it didn't reach the heights of Fury Road, and I didn't even know I was such a Mad Max fan but these movies are so meticulously made that they're undeniable. You cannot.
The other ones are great too. I mean, not even the new
100%.
ones.
I mean, I love Road War. I didn't realize how much the
great.
Thunderdome. I grew up. That used to be on HBO all the time as a kid.
I've seen Thunderdome more than
Any of
most movies. Yeah, I've seen it so many times. Yeah,
the fucking Tina Turner music video was in rotation constantly. That We Don't Need Another Hero. I mean, all of that. So
yeah.
And I understand Tarantino's gripe about if in a world where Mel Gibson's still alive, why is Tom Hardy Mad Max? But the only way to go now is to bring in the old Mad Max. Can we get Mel back for just a movie? Just one, George? Because you've now pushed this Furiosa thing to its conclusion.
It's now or never.
But this storyline is done now, is my thing. This has kind of been... look, as good as this is and as much as I like it, this to me is George Miller's Prometheus. His Ridley Scott going back, not necessarily playing with the actual trilogy, but giving us a little something before.
But the mistake has always been that these guys King Conan, right? The mistake has always been not doing this when people should...
wait too long.
Now's the time, right? They took too long for the Star Wars movies to go back, and we got whatever the hell we got, But it's just, don't dawdle, Don't dawdle on this. Even if you make a bad movie, then that's it. You made a bad movie, but at least you gave it a shot, like in some correct way, rather than, I don't know. And the new ones aren't. Obviously, the new ones are really good, so I don't know.
Well, Furiosa is my top 5, makes my top 5, and I did not see this on a big screen, and I'm kicking myself in the ass for not having done so, because talk about something, even if it's riddled with CGI and all that bullshit that came out about it, and the Anna Joy Taylor of it all, but I do think that from a technique, there is so much skill on display here, and Hemsworth is so captivating in every scene he's in. You can't take your eyes off the guy. I'd follow him on another adventure, so I want to see more of this world. I like this world, and great
I do
movie
like the
for
world.
the year. All right, what's number 4 for you?
Okay, my number 4 is My Old Ass.
Oh, the Aubrey Plaza
It's
film.
an Aubrey Plaza, Maisie Stella movie directed by Megan Park. And it's about a girl who takes mushrooms and goes on a trip, and when she does, she meets her older, 40-year-old self. And they kind of have conversations about the future, about what life is going to be like, and this and that. So it's kind of just a coming-of-age story for a young woman out on her own, learning life.
She's come into her own. She was really good in Megalopolis. She's been very good.
She's great in this. So's the younger version of her is good. And it's written really well, and it's hopeful. For once, another, so many movies are just down in the dumps, and this movie is not that. It is a hopeful movie with a hopeful ending. Regardless of any of the bad things that happen along the way in life, it's a way to say, no, you're still going to do the right thing. You're still going to do the thing that you're going to be true to yourself, and all that kind of shit. It's a good movie.
I actually forgot it came out because it was kind of a small release, and I want to say it came out right around the time that Megalopolis did. She had 2 movies out at the same time. And she was in that show, I think, Agatha all along. So she was working hard. All right, my number 4 for the year, don't laugh at me here, is the animated film The Wild Robot. This one, it touched me. I don't know any other way to say it. I didn't think that there was going to be much here for me. I saw The Iron Giant a long time ago. I liked that well enough. I've seen E.T. I've seen a lot of these kids' movies this year, including Inside Out 2, Moana 2, Flow. I mean, I saw a lot of these, and none of them stuck with me the way that this one did, including a beautiful score. The music here is fantastic. Everything, when you watch this movie, you realize that every aspect of it, like all of these animated films, is being created artificially, from the sound design to, the voicing. It's unbelievable what they're doing here. And while Moana 2 had some beautiful visual elements to it, and Inside Out 2 had some clever writing, I found that The Wild Robot was the animated film that touched me and stayed with me. And I found myself recommending to other adults, which is bizarre. So for me, Wild Robot hits number 4.
What are we on 3
next?
now?
Yeah, you're on number 3.
3, Snack Shack.
Oh, I forgot about Snack
This
Shack.
is a movie, takes place in the early 90s about two friends. They run, they're up to no good, basically have no future. They decide they're going to run the Snack Shack at the local swimming pool. They do it. They meet this girl who's a lifeguard there, and she comes between them. I thought this movie was fucking awesome. The actors in this, insanely good. The writing was great. And it's a pretty straightforward storyline. You know, it's exactly what I said. Pretty much what you expect is what's going to happen. But it just reminded me of coming of age stories, literally from back in the 90s. You know. But yeah, I almost couldn't get over how these actors played off each other, and so much of this felt real. Like when you were watching these people talk to each other, it's like they're literally falling in love, and that's what it looks like on screen. You can see it in their eyes, you know, which I haven't seen in so long. And
I know what you mean.
I don't know. Again, just another hopeful movie. Another movie that I thought the emotion was brought by the actors, brought by the script, and I don't know. It's so simple, like so simple. Why don't we have more of these?
I know what you mean by that, where the actors almost seem like they have a crush on each other in a sense. You know, it's coming through the screen. It's
alluring and stuff. It's like it's just something that like draws you in. It makes you go, "Oh, this works." You know, these people do actually love each other, and they're and it's not even just like between the girl and the guys. Like the two friends clearly are friends. You know, even when they're fighting. And not that they're in love or anything, you know, but there's that mutual respect that like, I don't know, just the whole thing just worked for me.
Yeah, I got to see that. The way you're describing that makes me sound like a movie I would fall in love with. So it could possibly have made my top 10 if I had seen it.
It takes place in the early 90s.
Oh, all right. Sold. So, all right. Number 3 for me is a movie that made your top or your bottom list. So number 3 for me is The Substance.
Oh, okay.
This one got under my skin too. Outside of that last 20 minutes, which I think absolutely derails this movie, I think that it should stop when she staples the fake face on herself. I think that would have been a fantastic ending frame. The ending frame that they chose, where she ends up sunny side up egg on her Walk of Fame star, is a little too on the nose.
But it's a bookend. It's two bookends.
It's also too direct and literally too on the nose, like we were saying. So
it's a metaphor.
Although
Jason. The movie is a metaphor.
Demi Moore, the Kubrickian shot selection here, production design, all very, very well. And I mean, on my review a couple episodes ago, I talked about my displeasure with how they represented the male characters and things like that. But what I saw here, for the most part, I really enjoyed. And this is the kind of stuff that I'll respond to, because when it's done well like this, in my opinion, it has I keep thinking about little aspects of it and go, okay, well, that tracks here. I did think that, we talked about things they could have done with the story, but what I got here was Demi Moore in a good performance in a film that went further than I expected it to go, and it had a lot more balls than I expected it to have. So, number 3 for the year for me. Second place for you. What's runner-up?
Second place for me. Look, I'm going to keep going on this Hope thing and The Wild Robots. The only movie of last year that I watched twice and was better the second time.
Was it? I haven't seen it twice.
I loved this movie. And talk about hopefulness and the score. When the score kicks in,
beautiful.
Holy shit, it makes you want to cry. Like, especially with the emotions that are running throughout this entire movie. This robot, it doesn't have a purpose, finds a purpose, finds its purpose in motherhood, which causes it to have to go further than it ever thought it would have to do, rewire itself, all this shit. And I love the supporting cast in this. Pedro Pascal is fucking first of all, the voice casting is perfect,
top notch,
like right on. Which I never thought I would ever look at Pedro Pascal anything. I think that's perfect for him, and he's not bad. Well, the Nicolas Cage movie he was in is pretty spot on, actually.
I love that fucking movie and his performance in it.
Yeah, but for this, just Lupita Nyong'o, however you say her name, I really like her anyways, but she's really good in this as the robot. And just a hopeful fucking movie, just fills you with hope. And it has a bittersweet ending, I thought, but regardless of that, just goddamn, can I get hopeful movies, please, from now on?
Well, while this did well at the box office, it was overshadowed by the success of Moana and Inside Out. And this is the better
win
film.
the Oscar. I
can't believe it didn't. No, it's terrible,
but I couldn't believe either. Is it?
It sucks. I honestly, I could not understand why it was nominated.
Yeah, I didn't see that. We'll talk about the Oscar stuff, I guess, after. But yeah, I just this movie is just beautiful for an animated movie. A wonderful story, and I don't know, the kind of animated movies that I like, where the characters interact and you feel like they belong together. You know, which is what Toy Story had. It's what Shrek had.
E.T. had.
You know, E.T. Sure, any weird creature movie like this. I don't know. If done correctly, it just really works. And the mothering stuff too, like when she's teaching him how to fly and stuff. And then even after they're done with that, when Long Neck, you know, the Bill Nighy, old bird comes into play, like, oh my God, you know, like the build up for this, incredible movie.
And when it's done wrong, you get something like Mac and Me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the kid flying off the thing in the wheelchair is pretty amazing. I don't know. You don't get any of that in the Wild Robot.
How has that movie not been memed at this point? Seriously.
What has? Wasn't that the meme? What's his name? Paul Rudd. Every time he went on Conan O'Brien, he had them tricked them into playing that thing. It was a running gag on there. Yes.
Oh, there you
Interesting.
Okay, number 2 for me. My second runner-up for the Best Picture spot for me is Kevin Costner's Western Horizon, part 1 of a supposed four-parter for me. So I think that you'll be talking about this as well. So
I couldn't imagine what would be my number 1.
Do you want to jump in here and might as well just join the conversation?
It's only the most amazing fucking theatrical experience of last year.
I mean, to me, this movie was a full course meal in that I saw it on a blazingly hot day. It was like 105 fucking degrees. I went inside and saw this with my buddy. It flew by. I don't know if it was because of the air conditioning, if it was because of the edible gummy I was taking. I don't know what it was, but I was so engrossed into this thing that when the montage came at the end of what's to come, I thought, oh, we're done? Like, I didn't, like I said, I don't know if it was the air conditioning, the edible, the movie, if it was all of the things at once.
It's the movie.
I've watched it since again, and it is the movie because the first hour, while Costner is not really involved in that first hour, the staging of the house being overtaken and the son having to do the last stand with the father is so compelling that the second hour doesn't have anything that compelling in it to match the first hour. But what it has is the introduction of Costner's character. I don't know.
I mean, the Costner
and
there's plenty of stuff in that. Those brothers and the his walk. The best part of the movie has to be that walk up to the cabin.
Yeah.
Which is just insane.
But that is a more measured scene. I'm talking about for outright direction and flair. That first, I don't want to say the first action sequence because I've got an hour into it, but that is staged and shot and edited so well.
It's much bigger, yeah.
But to me, I can't wait for parts 2, 3, and 4, and it's the runner-up for the Best Picture for me.
I mean, I don't even understand how this didn't. Like, why? I'm so confused.
Not one Oscar nomination, lost. No score, no costumes, no cinematography, nothing.
No Best Picture. This was the best movie of the year. I don't care. I'll fight whoever I have to fight. It just is. Like, as you say, this is one of the best edited movies I've ever seen. One of the best written movies, and the flow is insane on this. Especially for how this is a 3-hour-long movie, and it plays like Titanic doesn't play as good as this.
I agree.
It's nuts.
And there was a big, we're talking about the Oscars, but there was a big push that this is an independent year, and Anora won because it's an independent film. Movie? This is independent as well. This is independent, and he was taken down for this, as well as Francis Ford Coppola, who made the flop of all ages.
Yeah, well, he still did it.
But this is the opposite of that. This is a triumph that was then buried.
I feel like it was a triumph. I feel like. I don't know. Maybe I'm as out of touch as everyone else is because Anora didn't do anything. The Brutalist didn't do shit. Emilia Perez obviously didn't do fucking shit. None of these movies, these Oscar movies, really have nothing to talk about, right? Unless you're talking like Dune or something,
Wicked
right?
Or something.
I think Conclave did relatively well. Complete Unknown did pretty good, and Wicked did well. But the rest of them, nobody fucking saw, and those are the ones that everyone was talking about. And I just thought that's so sad. Nobody saw any of these movies.
And Horizon, while it opened fairly well, it disappeared even quicker, and
nobody watched it. I don't think people wanted to see a Western, and especially not a Western it's an actual Western, a real American Western story, and it isn't just about guns a-blazing, right? And which is unfortunate. That's what made this really good.
Also, the promise of what's to come. I hope we get it, because if this isn't completed, it's going to be one of the big what ifs in Hollywood history, as far as I'm concerned, because this is a story that at least deserves the next chapter has already been shot. Release the fucking thing at this point. I don't know what HBO Max's strategy is, or if they're gonna. I thought they would have released it around Christmas time on Max, because they had released the first part here on Netflix, and it was in the top 10, so people were watching it. And I thought, well, maybe that's a primer for a Max release during the holidays, which never came. So. We'll see.
I mean, it's done. So where is it? That's my question.
Yeah.
Unless there's he could have made some deal where it has to be theatrical, right? Because that was the deal initially. And so I wonder if that deal still stands. Maybe they're going to be forced to do some theatrical release for it, which I don't think helps at this point. But I'll go see it. Please do it.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. I did see this in the big screen.
Please do it. I want to go see it in the theaters again. Yeah. So please release it in theaters. Don't listen to me. But I'm just saying it's probably not going to help. Well, obviously, it wouldn't help.
This is a film that used every inch of that large screen for framing.
Oh yeah, and it wasn't scope, it was flat, so it filled the fucking screen like a real movie does.
Yep. Which you would think that would be at least be worthy of mention in the Oscars, but not even a clip, nothing. It's
maybe that's why people didn't like it. It's not a real movie because it's
there's no
it's 185 and not 235,
Not VistaVision. It's not this.
It's
and
not
that.
wide enough. You mean it's not short enough? Because wide, the new wide is short. It's not wide, guys.
Okay, so my picks. That was your pick then. So Horizon was my number 2, and that was your pick for the best picture of last year. So well done. Yep. I cannot argue too much with that. My pick for the best movie of last year was a movie that you did not care for at all, and neither did a lot of people, and that is Saturday Night. The telling of the first episode of Saturday Night Live. This is a movie that, from the second it started, I went with this fucker. I could not stop. I found it compulsively watchable. I don't want to say sweating as I watched it, but I was getting involved in this, and the production woes of it all, and the fact that these actors were nailing every scene that they were in, whether it be the guy who's impersonating Chevy Chase or Dan Aykroyd or Belushi, and the kid playing Lorne Michaels did a good job playing Spielberg a couple years ago in The Fabelmans, but here I thought honestly, the guy playing Dick Ebersol, which is Philip Seymour Hoffman's son, I believe, is the kid who is really the unsung hero of the film too, because he has a couple of great monologues in that where he's really giving it to Lorne Michaels. But as an SNL longtime fan, I found this to be even more exciting to watch, because you're trying to piece together, did this really happen? Well, I know this happened at a different date, and they are putting some things together that don't necessarily go together at the same time, just for an intriguing story. But I found this to be the best movie, or the most compulsively watchable movie of 2024. And the only reason I'm putting it above Horizon is because I've watched it 2 times now, and it's the only film on this list that I've watched 2 times. Horizon, I've only gotten through halfway on my second viewing. So, but you didn't care for this one, huh?
No, I thought it was boring.
Yeah, boring would be the last thing I would think you would say about this movie, if anything. But hey, different strokes.
I just didn't. I don't know. I didn't find it interesting, I guess.
Well, that's our top 10 and worst of list for 2024. Another year where we look back, and I gotta say, as I look at this list, there wasn't. I'll say this back. Out of the Oscar movies, well, this will segue into our Oscar thing here. Out of the Oscar movies that were up for Best Picture, even though I liked The Substance and Conclave, there was no movie on that list that I absolutely loved and was getting behind and was rooting for, whether it be a Top Gun Maverick, whether it be even Horizon if it was nominated. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't even last year with Oppenheimer, right. I loved it and I was rooting for it. There was nothing
was so good, yeah.
There was nothing like that this year, so I wasn't
nothing at all
pulsed by much.
I mean, I don't even know. Like, even if you were a Dune fan, you had to know that it had no shot, right? So what would even be the point? And I don't know. It's interesting. The viewership, I guess, is well, it's basically on par with last year. Let's be honest.
It's roughly 20 million people.
It's low as fuck still. Like it's not. I don't know. People are calling this a win, but it's not. It's not a win, guys. You need to double this number like immediately.
We're far away from
which
the time
is doable.
of that.
It's still doable, I think. I think a lot of people are tuning in for the actresses. Actually, I just think a lot of people are tuning in for the actresses. Like, let's be honest, right? I mean, Mikey Madison they're tuning in for these actresses, right? I can't think of any other reason anyone would want to watch this.
I couldn't. First of all,
And
the
that movie,
esoteric
Nora.
nature of the Best Picture nominees is very off-putting in that you've given people a homework assignment now to watch these movies because your average moviegoer may have seen 2, 3 of the 10 that you nominated, and
Well,
all of these were
you
long
certainly
as
took that to heart.
fuck. What's that?
I said you certainly took that to heart. You know, it's a homework assignment. It's a list of movies you must see. You know,
Basically, I mean,
before the thing.
Yeah,
You went through the whole list, basically, right? You watched all of them, right?
bro. And you know how many I
Yeah.
got right on Oscar night? I got 8 out of 23. So what the fuck do I know?
It's hard. It's difficult. Yeah.
My mom, the reigning champ, got 14 and she saw 0%. So, I mean, there's no fucking rhyme or reason.
No, but that's what I'm saying. People watch this. I don't think that's wrong. I think that's right. You know, Grok, that AI Grok thing, they had it asked like the major ones. They got them all right. People watched this not as a sense for the movies, but for the people in the movies and for what the movies meant. Like this was, while the Oscar ceremony itself wasn't very highly politicized, I think the people watching are politicized.
Best speech of the night, Kieran Culkin.
Yeah, the most real speech in a long time. Yeah, about him and his wife and wanting to have children, and it was being fun, and the wife was playing well with it and everything. Yeah, they're hugely likable
Most obnoxious speech, Adrian Brody.
by far.
This fucking guy. I mean, the whole I'm going to be brief and then go on for 6 minutes. Mm-hmm. I get it. You were in B movies last year. And now you got an Oscar again. But
He's been in B movies for fucking decades.
that's what I'm saying. I mean, he had the Oscar in 2003, and then he's been relegated to the making movies in Romania.
To video. I mean, let's be honest. And the funny thing is that he's going to go straight to video, and you know, like your Mikey Madison's going to be doing top tier shit.
Yeah, his second
Culkin as
Oscar
well.
win. Look, I think that he is a talented actor, but I find him to be an extremely one-note actor. He feels to me like he's giving the same performance all the fucking time.
You really need a special story for him to work in. And I will be honest, he's never been a draw at the box office either. Not for me personally, but just for anyone. I don't know anyone that sees a movie and goes, oh, Adrian Brody's in it? Oh, I definitely will watch that.
Whereas I
That
liked him
doesn't
in
happen.
movies, including Summer of Sam and things
He's
like that.
fine in movies, but he's just not a draw. And that's why I think he does the direct-to-video stuff, because even there, you know, you just need a name. You don't really need a draw, right? You just need something to stand out from the other direct-to-video shit.
Well, hopefully his rate went up for those B movies that he'll be doing in the future.
I doubt they did, because all those guys, you know, I mean, it'll be him and John Cusack in the next movie.
All right, best bit of the night, in my opinion, was the Adam Sandler cameo in the sweatsuit and the basketball pants.
I like the Ben Stiller thing better.
Did you? Okay, that was my second with the special effects
The
people. What was
Sandler
he-
thing was too, I don't know, like, you're old at this point. I just think he's too old. He's growing out of it. The Ben Stiller thing, I thought still worked perfectly.
I love the line when he said to Sandler about, what are you doing dressed like that? He said, what are you talking about? No one noticed before you brought it up. I thought that was some classic Sandler. I thought they were going to push it into a Happy Gilmore 2 promo or something like that, but I'm glad they didn't.
That would have been interesting. Yeah.
That's what I thought he was doing it for, to be honest.
For sure he is, to get himself back out there. Yeah, for sure.
But still, how much goodwill do you have to have in that room to be the guy where you can do that? I mean, it clearly shows that he's in good standing with most people in that room. And they did the Timothy Chalamet thing, the holdover from the Golden Globes. That was cute there. Oddest moment for me during the Oscars, obviously there's no slap or anything like that, but was watching Adrian Brody throw his gum to his wife who tried to catch it and missed it. That was like, bro, you couldn't swallow it. You couldn't just put it in the side of your cheek. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Not to harp on Brody, but that was a bizarre moment when I watched him do that.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't like that. Zoe Saldana, I still think it's too emotional. When she wins awards or does anything like this, it's...
You mean she's an actress who over-emotes?
I guess. She's just... Well, I mean, yeah, literally, right? I mean, it's like giving a performance in one of the Avatar movies, honestly. It's just... She's a lot to handle. Other than that, I thought the Bond stuff was dumb as shit.
When she was crying on stage, now that you say that, that's why it bugged me. I was thinking of the Avatar person.
Her character in Avatar gets super emotional.
They burnt our lad.
All of it. It gets, and she cries all the time in Avatar movies. She just has that frowny face. And that's what this reminded me of too. It's just way too emotional. But I thought the Bond song stuff was fucking weird.
I liked it.
No,
I liked it. I had no problem.
Why?
It was oddly timed now that they're no longer in possession of the Bond franchise.
No. Why? Why is it in here? Why do it?
Those were all the ones that had won Oscars for best song in previous year.
Why though? Why is it on this Oscars? What does it have to do with anything?
There's no
point to it. They didn't play any of the other music from any of the movies. End of an era, a burial. I mean, it was just the funeral. It makes no sense. They could have played any fucking movie music then at that point.
Well,
I don't know why they did it.
Quincy Jones, Ease on Down the Road with Queen Latifah.
I only think of because it's Wicked, but that at least like has some tie-in. I don't understand any of it. This Oscars was not the best. It's weird. It seems like they didn't really have movies that they even wanted to celebrate.
I thought
which is odd to me.
With Conan O'Brien showing the old headshots, I thought that was nice. That was a nice touch. I could have used a little bit more of that. And to me, it seemed like a little bit more of a return to the silliness of years past where we're going to fuck around a little bit more and, the John Lithgow cutaways and things like that. Like, I liked those bits. That was
good.
In my opinion, there was... a touch of, gosh, how do I state this here? A touch of the old Conan O'Brien show, like when he first was starting out.
Yeah, I know. That's why I didn't like it.
No? It was too goofy?
I thought it was too like the Dune stuff with the worm and stuff. I love Conan O'Brien. I love that era of Conan O'Brien. I grew up, I watched all that shit, believe me. Yeah, it just didn't work. It's the Oscars. I don't know. I expected a little bit more to have to do with the movies, and they seem to shy away a lot from the current stuff that they had. These movies got nominated. I just feel like they've tried to look at other. They're like, no, this is Hollywood. We have other movies. Remember the Bond movies? It's like, yeah. why don't you nominate one? Like, what the fuck why the fuck is we doing this?
Why don't you fucking make one? I mean, fuck.
Yeah, right? I mean, it just felt like, well, I don't know. As I said earlier, like most of these movies made like $5 to $15 million, right? The ones that are truly on here, like, not the Dunes or I guess the Complete Unknown did pretty good. But everything else basically is just like
it's middle of the road,
kind of there, So it felt like, and they know that those are the ones that actually made it, right? And everything else was just a gimme, so to speak. So I felt like they were just trying to do a little song and dance, a little magic trick here, a little don't pay attention to these, pay attention to what we did before, in order to just, I don't know. I think they're well aware that they have a problem where they aren't nominating movies that people care about, right? And that what they're saying is that these are the movies that are the best, and they're not. They're not the best. I take it from this list, you would have said, in your opinion, The Substance should have won.
Yeah, that's what I was
this
pulling
list,
for. Yeah. Just because I thought it had the most impact on me of these top 10 lists here. And I saw all of them. I'm taking it back. I did not see I'm Still Here, the Brazilian one. So I saw 90% of them, just because that was really hard to get a hold of. And It's a cup of tea, you know. A Complete Unknown's really good. Is it better than Conclave? Not in my opinion. But then again, what are we doing here, and how does Oscar voting really work? I thought Anora in my review a couple of weeks ago. I'll tell you, it's to me very dull and very boring and very amateurish. And I like Sean Baker's other films. I thought the Flora Project was saying a lot of the same things that this was trying to say in terms of overlooked communities and shadow people, and, you know, people that live in the margins. But Anora just did not work for me. And this is going to be one of the times where I look back at this like Nomadland, where I go, how is this your best picture of this year? In terms of difficulty of making, in terms of storytelling, this is what you're exemplifying of the year. This is what's going to stand the test when people think back of the 2024. This is your golden emblem of what Hollywood can do. It's not that anymore. It's to show how good we are, and that we're going to bestow this on you because it's been a community that's overlooked, and now we're going to look at it officially with the Hollywood eye. So fuck Anora. And I mean, do you know anyone that's liked it? Have you heard anything positive?
That was the original title of the movie.
Well, that's pretty much what the first 2/3 of the movie is.
Yeah, I mean, I know people who like it, yes. I don't know anyone normal who likes it. Yeah, I don't look at this. I consider myself at this point to be pretty normal when it comes to movies, more than I used to be. You know, I would used to watch weird stuff and like it. Less than that, especially for today's stuff. I look at this list of Academy Award nominees for Best Picture, and I think, I'm sure Conclave's a great movie. I'm really not. I don't care. I'm not interested in it. Complete Unknown, no interest, zero, none. Brutalist, zero interest. Anora, I thought the trailer looked really good, but after hearing about it, I'm good. Doom Part 2, I fell asleep to several times, like I said. Amelia Perez, don't care. Still Here, don't care. Nickel Boys, don't care. The Substance, I didn't like it. And Wicked, don't care. I can't say don't care anymore. You know, I don't care. And so at some point it just becomes reality where I don't care. And I'm not going to watch any of this stuff. I'm just not going to do it anymore.
Well, even people that go to the
movies,
think about how many people buy tickets and then how few of them actually watch the Oscars. So you're not alone in people that actually even like movies.
I wasn't planning on watching this year, but it was my dad was like, "Oh, I usually come over." So well, I won't break the tradition yet. So I went and I watched it, but you know, it just, I didn't feel like a celebration of movies, to be honest with you. I just didn't. Even though everything was there, from the crowd to the theater to the host and, you know, the reading off. And, you know, the worst part, I think, was the worst choice was bringing out people to suck off the dicks of the fucking people that they're about to give awards to.
Yeah, that was a very
worst
bizarre
part of this.
thing.
I hated that, all of it. Even Robert Downey Jr., I hated doing it. It was ridiculous.
It came off. It was not good. It came off. It was unctuous. I did not care for it at all. And just play the clip, or have the past winner of the category present it like we used to do.
Yeah.
So, or get a celebrity in there. I'm sure The Rock would like to come in and give away an award.
Yeah, I'm sure he wants you to know what he's been cooking, if you can smell it.
Well, that show, just like this show, it seemed to have gone on forever. At the running time of close to, I think, 3.5 hours, which is one of the longer episodes.
Wow. Like Horizon, it will go by in a blink. Maybe not.
Well, that's going to wrap up episode 408, our top 10 of the year and our bottom of the year, all wrapped up into one tidy episode for you guys. We want to thank you all for joining us on this look back to 2024, the good and the bad and the indifferent. As always, you can get every single one of these podcasts available at moviemavericks.com. Please like, rate, review the show wherever you are getting this. And join us next time. We're going to be doing this again shortly with a retrospective look back on some films and a new episode where we'll be talking about the latest reviews of movies coming out right now. Speaking for Trevor Anderson, I am Jason Rugard, and we are the Movie Mavericks.
Oh my, another magnificent episode has come to an end. If you're craving more, set your destination to moviemavericks.com, Warp 9. Engage!